Welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skabowski of RE/MAX Lakes. And good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing fine. And I see here you've got 2021 predictions. Everybody's got an opinion.
Everybody's got an opinion.
And you found several opinions that we're going to talk about today.
I did. I'm from Missouri. Not really, I'm from Michigan. But, when I read that, show me. But everybody's got an opinion.
Yeah.
Whether you're left-leaning, right-leaning, center-leaning, whether you're sales-driven, whatever, everybody has an opinion. So I thought it'd be interesting to look at how did these different industries, how did these different entities predict the future, predict 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So, I looked at the National Association of Realtors, Big Dog, Realtor.com, Zillow, and the home builders. Those are the four groups that I thought, it's a pretty broad spectrum. It covers all of the industry. What are they all talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the themes, and it's kind of hit on where we've been going, is affordability. Every single one of them, touched on affordability. And their predictions or their analysis of 2020 varied a little bit between where they saw 2020 ending and what they thought was going to happen in 2021. Numbers to where the home builders said, there was 2.3 months worth of inventory, and Realtor.com said there's 4 months worth of inventory. Well, what's right? That's a pretty significant number when you look, across the country.
Yeah, right.
But the bottom line is inventory, or the lack thereof, is driving the affordability issue that we're running into.
Okay.
So we've got a lot of demand. Mm-hmm. And all four of these agencies said basically the same thing.
Okay.
Affordability is the key driver of what's going to happen with real estate in 2021.
Okay.
So how do we correct that? Well, of course, they all are looking at it from a different perspective. But when you think about home building, it takes months to build a home.
It does.
Right? If it's not started now, we're not going to see that inventory
for a while,
for 4 months,
right.
On average. I mean, there were, builders that kicked out houses in, 90 days. I don't know that I'd want to live in
right.
one of
I don't
those
know if I'd buy
or
that,
not, but on
yeah.
average, it's probably 4 to 5 months. Custom homes take a lot longer to build, but if you have a builder that, they've got a standard floor plan, their crew has built them before, and they're very similar floor plans, about 4 months to build them. So if we want to see a change, it needs to start right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So housing starts in the spring are going to be huge to talk about this. This will be our measure when we go into the fall of the year. Are we starting to increase that supply of homes to make up for the demand, or hopefully we level the affordability out, to where we level price increases out.
Mm-hmm.
So, wages have gone up some, but not a lot. On average, I don't know what the national statistic is, but, where we reviewed last week, we looked at 2021, home prices went up significantly in Warsaw. I know, I don't get a paycheck, I'm commission sales, but I don't think that most people got 6% wage increases, on average. I don't think that the average employer in today's economy is given 6% increases out.
I don't think anybody got a raise in 2020.
Not many.
Not many.
Maybe some small cost of living increases, but there were not employers going, hey, I'm going to raise, wages for my folks. So, and cost of living, inflation's been so low, the cost of living hasn't increased too much. So maybe 3%. So if homes prices on average were up 6 to 10%, and you only saw a 3% price, wage increase, affordability is a big deal to you.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the groups, and it was Realtor.com, said that 38% of the home purchases in 2020 were millennials.
Wow.
So, and add to that, second home purchases, high wage earners. That's where a lot of the house, so for agents that are in the market, what are we going to focus on?
Sure.
That bigger group, that 40% millennial. And while we may say and think what we want about millennials, the fact is they're buying homes. That's good for us as an industry. They're getting to the ages to where it's time for them to settle down and become big people. Put
Yeah.
your big boy pants
That's
on
right.
and become adults.
Adulting.
Adulting.
Yeah.
So they're buying homes.
Yeah.
And then the second home market really came into play as the pandemic moved through 2020. The prediction for 2021 is that's going to continue. As we've talked about, 4-bedroom homes or people working from home, all of those things, both Realtor.com and Zillow talked about that. They each talked about it in the articles that I read.
Yeah, well, if you're going to be working from home, it'd be nice to work from home like on a lake,
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. Sign me up for that.
Yeah, you got
Got a view.
nice views,
Yeah.
and so that does make sense because I don't think we're going to go back to what it was to cramming everybody back into the office the way we lived before.
No, and as long as we're continuing to deal with, kids staying at home and parents working from home, and the technology has allowed us to do that. We went through a trend where people were downsizing on homes.
Yeah.
We're starting to see that the square footage is increasing where people are looking for a little bit larger home. And again, it's because of space. If I'm going to work from home and I'm going to have the kids homeschool,
Yeah.
or have the kids at home going to school, I want more space.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
need more space.
Yep.
All right, coming up, we're going to talk about more predictions for 2021. Also want to talk about interest rates.
Yeah, sure.
They play a major factor. So that's coming up next. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skabowski of Remax Lake. So we're talking about 2021 predictions. And one thing I want to talk about would be the interest rates, because we've seen record lows.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I get all the industry publications, emails, that kind of stuff, and I'm not going to say I spend all day reading them, but the headlines that I'm seeing are we continually reset the all-time lows for mortgage interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
We ran through a glut of refis. A lot of people have taken advantage, and why not,
Right.
of the low interest rates of homes that they're currently in. But on the buy side, a 30-year fixed is still hovering anywhere from 2.5 to 2 3/4. Again, these are for folks with perfect credit. This is not a teaser rate. I got no skin in the game to say, hey, you can get a 2 3/4 rate. If your credit is lousy,
It's not going to happen. No.
you are not going to get a 2 3/4 rate. But someone with good credit, good history, good income, all of those things, all of the items that a lender's going to look at, you can do pretty well on the finance side right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Now, do they, for our predictions for 2021, that they're going to stay that low, or do you think they're going to tick up a little bit, or any idea?
Well, the funny thing is, they each of those four entities that I talked about had a different perspective on it. The National Association of Realtors thought about 3.1. Charles Yoon, he's the economist for NAR. He gives a lot of speeches, puts a lot of data out.
Okay.
And he's relatively accurate, but he's thinking about 3.1%.
Okay.
Zillow, I believe, was in the 3.5 range. They were all in between 3 and 3.5%, roughly,
Okay.
going into 2021. Now, I know you and I have talked about that. The Fed said, hey, we're not going to raise interest rates.
Yep.
But as we know, interest rates fluctuate daily, right? I mean, mortgage interest rates fluctuate daily. Depends on when you apply. That'll determine the rate that you get. So your credit score, all of those things go into that, but mortgage rates do fluctuate. But even at that, if by chance they go to 3.5%, that's still a phenomenal interest rate.
Yeah.
Long term.
First time I bought a house, it was at 8%.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing my parents, when it was like 15%. Super high. That's when I was a kid, but
Yeah.
but I couldn't imagine even thinking about something that high. But 3.5% or 3.1,
Right.
still a great number.
Fantastic rate. And a couple of weeks ago when Roger and I did the show, we talked about the difference in payment for $100,000 versus at 3 and 2.5% versus 4%. It's pretty significant.
It is.
So all that comes back to my buzzword for 2021: affordability.
Yes.
That's what it's going to come down to. House prices cannot continue to go where they're at. I don't care, with that low interest rate sparking demand.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. A lot of people are buying, hey, interest rates are low, I should buy a house. Maybe. there's still, you need to make the right decision for you. I mean, yes, I want to sell lots of houses, but I also want people to make the right decision for them. It doesn't make sense to jump into a house, buy it, and then ultimately not be able to afford it. Not be able to do the things that you would like to do. So even with low interest rates, those prices are higher. You just have to keep that in mind. And we were talking a little bit off air before we came on. The thing that I don't mention a lot is the fact that house prices are actually improving the balance sheets, if you were a business, for folks that are staying in their homes, because their home values have increased.
Yeah,
they've increased. So it makes your net worth that much higher because the value of your home is higher. So which is a good thing. It's a good thing to have that asset that's worth more. It all is good until you go to sell it, and if the market crashes, and all of a sudden you've lost all of that.
Right.
I'm not going to predict we're going to see a 2008, 2009 anytime soon, but at some point, prices are going to come down.
Well, they're going to have
have
to. Yeah, they're going to have to. What goes up comes down.
Absolutely.
But it is still at this time, it's still a seller's market because the prices are still, very, very high.
Absolutely. And until we see that inventory start to increase, and again, looking through these four entities, what do they think is going to happen? By the fall of the year, they expect there to be some easing. They expect there to be more inventory. Now, again, think that through on the builder standpoint. It takes 4 months to build. How many are going to be in the market to get out there and start to build?
Yeah.
If you look around our area right now, the prediction is there's a lot of houses that have just started that are under construction. So, maybe that will help alleviate some of the tension and ultimately improve affordability. Although you're buying at a premium. If you're buying right now, you're buying at a premium. I mean, the house prices are higher than they've been in a long time, ever, I guess I should say. So, just keep that in mind. What's your long term? What's your why? How long are you going to be in that house if you're going to buy today? If you're thinking about buying it and turning around in a year and selling, might not be the right time for you to buy. Even though interest rates are low, it may not be the right reason for you to buy.
Okay. Well, and that's where it makes sense to sit down with a real estate agent and talk this out. Yeah. And it always goes back to the why. It always goes back to the why for sure. So
yeah. I mean, if you don't know your why, what's the point? Yeah. What are you out there doing? Just everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. Hey, low interest rates, let's go do it. What's your why?
And we've got like less than 80 days till spring break, so that's when the market, that's when the market heats up. It's like right after spring break.
That's
so
it.
There we go. All right, hey, your contact information?
Sure. The website's lakes-realtors.com. Phone number is 574-834-1233. Can always give me a call. Check out our YouTube channel, Real Estate in Real Time. You get to see our ugly mugs out there weekly.
And maybe some bloopers too.
They're out there. I'm putting together a blooper reel.
All right,
absolutely.
Very good. All right, very good. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.